Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Engineering Excellence Talk. I hope you are enjoying the program so far. Before we begin, let me share some quick information. This session is being recorded and it will last 55 minutes. Today's agenda features a speech from our guests and a Q&A session at the end. If you will have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. It is with great pleasure that I introduce our speakers, Hari Mankal, Raghavendra Chapa, Fanny Vupala, who are going to talk to us about scaling EngX culture as we grow. Hari is a technology leader with more than 23 years of strong software engineering background and proven skills in portfolio, program, and project management. Raghavendra is senior project manager with 21 years of experience in project management, delivery management, and agile. Fanny has 20 years of IT experience with more than 10 years of experience as an architect. As in EPAM, engineering is in our DNA. I'm sure this talk will be very interesting for us all. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Hari, Raga, and Fanny. Before Hari will tell us more, we have some questions prepared for you to see your point of view. Let me share the link to the Mentimeter with you. You should see it in the chat. You can also go to the menti.com and just use the code. But I think it's easier with the link. So firstly, we would like to ask you, what is engineering excellence according to you? Please share your ideas with us. I think that you already have some ideas what engineering excellence is. So please share with us. Oh yeah, best practices. Okay, that's a good one. Culture, yeah. Striving to get better. Oh, good answers. I see very good answers. What else? What else we have? Constant improvement. Oh yeah, that's also an important one. Striving for optimum, striving to get better. Good answers. Thank you very much for sharing with us. Professionalism, okay. Quality engineering, yes. Coding best practices, successful delivery. Community, yeah, we have EngX community. What else I can see? Successful delivery. Yeah. Okay, 15 people share with us. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So now we are eager to ask you what a sensei will do. So what do you think? You can choose more than one option. So we have 4 options. You can choose as much as you want and let us know what do you think. Okay, coaches, train, mentor. You have one first answer. Okay. Oh, good. For now, the coaches, trains, and mentor is winning. Mentors, okay. Coordination also. Okay, see. Coordination is almost next to the coaches, trainer, mentor. So to share with you, as the part of EngX events, Sensei is a coordinator who in fact does all of these activities. So all the answers here are correct. And one last question which we have for you, it's this one. What is Coding Dojo? What do you think? Please share your ideas and remember they are not wrong answers. Let's see if someone, EPAM systems, gaming even, exercises, okay. Practice arena, I like this answer. Recreational activity. Okay, I see some very close. So, gaming even coding training platform. Oh, nice. Coding challenges. Okay. Daily training. Oh, that's nice answer. School.
We're getting some new ideas to implement.
Yeah, maybe it could be implementing exactly. Oh, playing gaming by coding. I like this one. Learning, brevity. Okay, thank you very much for all your answer. So, in fact, Coding Dojo is one of the events conducted as a part of EngX. There is a lot of fun and learning during it. Now, let's switch to our first speaker, Harry.
Thank you, Martha, for the introduction and the questions. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. I know from wherever you are part of this particular session. So basically, one of the challenge that in front of us, why we actually took this topic is in India, right? The background that I would like to share. So this I would say like okay, index story of EPAM India. So in last 7 years, we have grown in India from 1,000 people, right, associates to 7,000 now. Just today, actually, we just celebrated a 7 years, 7,000 associates in India, and then we just cut the cake 2 hours ago. So and it's a coincidence that we are having this event. So one of the challenge in front of us was, yeah, we are growing, right, which is good, but how do we ensure we continuously focus on building EngX culture in the organization, right? And all that Martha just presented, right? How do we continue to scale, continue to do our EngX events and EngX project assessments as part of our EngX framework, right? As we scale, which was one of the important aspect, right, where we are not compromising on the index culture as well as quality. So that's where this overall topic has come up. And um, before entering into how this evolved, I would like to just start with our journey from where we started and how we have year on year how we have been improving on implementing index practices and index culture. So to start with, in 2019, right, we have two gentlemen from EngX core team, right, global EngX core team, Alexei uh, Sheglo. Maybe sorry if I'm, in case if any mistakes in my name, in the name I'm pronouncing. And Yuri Volchek visited India along with a couple of people, and they taught us and they actually conducted along with us two index assessments, and we have actually even conducted a couple of index events like coding dojo and coding kata that we the dojo and what just we have seen on the questions. And actually there are also some of the events actually we do conduct. When before actually talking about this, we'll also run through what means various index events, right? So for example, we do various index events like code retreat. When we talk about code retreat, it is actually we give a problem statement, ask the team to write the code to solve the problem. And once they write the code, then we ask them to delete the code. And then now you rewrite implementing the specific solid principles, right? So our using certain solid principles or the architectural principles, and so then they have to rewrite the code, right? So that way we do repetition of code 3 times 4 times, and then the way they then they themselves will learn how to write a better code. That's a coding kata, code retreat. And then coming to coding kata, so is another event. How we do is we actually give a code with anti-pattern that it's a like bad code, and then we ask them, now you apply a specific solid principle, and then you rewrite the code. So we give a bad code and ask them, okay, apply this particular principle, and then you rewrite the code like that. So similarly, we do architectural kata. It's a team. It's sometimes a 50 60 people participate in this. We break out a team of 5 6 people, work together and take the problem statement and and they come up with an architecture. And similarly here also, a sensei will help them. Okay, you need to improve this, and then multiple iterations, and that's where they come up with a beautiful architecture at the end of the session. And I can code is another event we generally do with the non-technical people, even the support functions. They write a pseudo code for simple problems. So that means even they also need to understand the code, even including our TA team who are actually hiring people on that. And then we continue to conduct hackathons and inject talks. So this just I want to share what are events when I'm actually talking about how we have actually talking about our journey, right? And that's how our journey started. And from there on, we have continuously in touch, collaborating with our global EngX team, and we also started contributing into the core EngX practices, like building EngX Survey Lite as part of our delivery central. And then now it is on delivery central, but before even it was there, compile the required questions as part of the Survey Lite. And then we also work closely and then building this project initiation framework, which we actually now every project that starts, we ensure that this project initiation framework is actually followed. So starting project right is really important. How do, based on, if we start the project right, then obviously it will go in a right mode. So otherwise, if we start with right in a wrong approach, or with chaos, then it's actually very challenging to get back on track very initially, right? So that's our project initiation framework will help. And then we also introduced architecture katas, a new event as part of this. And then here we started again bit of challenge, right? So in terms of we are scaling, we are growing, but how do we actually improve, increase the number of events that we are doing with the number of people that we have? So that's where again we formed champion groups with each business units. Every business unit has to come up with their own champion groups, inject champion groups, so that they can actually conduct their events with minimal support from the core inject team. And within their BU, they run a lot of inject events, and also they do mini inject light assessments. Right, every week they pick up one project that is called, we actually calling it as scaling inject assessment as well. So mini inject assessments within their BU, they pick up one project, they deep dive, go into every artifact, ask questions, and then come up with some recommendations based on some of the experts who actually participated at those sessions. So that's how each BU has their own champion groups now. And then further, we also created our OKRs, and then creating our own KPIs, and then started scaling it up further. So taking into the journey, what we are doing as part of this, and we created our mission as part of this. Our mission is to build EngX culture, applying software craftsmanship, and enable projects to run with high EngX maturity. So which actually covers the culture by conducting events, more and more events, so that they understand good practices and applying those back into their projects. And then that's how even the EngX maturity of the projects will be high. So this is the slide which I already covered on the various events that we are doing. And how, right? So this is one of the OKR. What the topic name is also scaling EngX as we grow. This is one of the OKR that we created as scaling EngX culture across the organization as we grow. So this is our objective. To achieve this objective, so we actually came up with what we need to do, right, in covering EngX events, assessments, and all that, right? So conduct two EngX events per week, right? So in order to do that, we also need to increase our number of sensei who actually support, in conducting these events and helping in driving these events, right? So again, build 10 new sensors every quarter, right? So that's how we are doing. And then another aspect is the rapid assessments. We need to continue to do EngX rapid assessment is again an EngX defined framework where an EngX expert will actually deep dive into all the artifacts and come up with with a heat map of all the EngX practices that are being followed and recommendations. So so this is our goal. And again, in order to do that, we also need to build EngX experts, right, year on year. So that means if we target 20 rapid assessments, and at the same time we want to build more and more experts, like 4 per quarter is like build 16 experts. It takes almost 9 months to 1 year to actually build one EngX expert. That it's not just like a training. They actually complete need to complete a bunch of trainings, like including clean code, clean design, and which we have created as part of this assessment framework. And they need to shadow, and they need to conduct their own assessment, and while doing assessment there will be a mentor. So until then he'll not be an independent expert. So then after doing all the activities, he'll become an expert. It's almost a 9 to 10 months activity. And we continue to focus on measuring, right, our EngX education coverage. I think as there was an EngX journey, separate session will be there. What is EngX education, what various education that we have as part of this. So we have done a bunch of initiatives in order to achieve this particular outcome. And the other important recently that we started 2 quarters ago is clean as you code campaign. So what we are saying is, okay, as part of our development, how we actually clean as we code, right? It's not that we just patch up our code when we are working sprint after sprint. We need to ensure we need to clean our code, and refactor. We need to be courageous, which actually Funny will cover in depth onto this particular topic as in the next couple of slides. And if you look at the achievement, right? So okay, so where we are, from an outcome perspective, right? So number of events, the coding dojo till date we have completed 41, and then similarly bunch of events that we have completed. And this, as we are growing, if we don't conduct this level of scale of events, it will not spread the culture. Only very few participants will come, and only the few participants who are participated actually will be able to know what culture we are building, and what are our practices. And we continue to conduct hackathon every 6 months, and clean as we code campaign that we are doing every month on month, by taking real-time examples, which we will see. And recently we have done Engineers Day celebration. I'll also run through this in our next slide. And this year we did a number of assessments, and these are all the experts that we are actually building the experts. We took nominations who are interested, and then they are going through the learning right now in a different phases, and we have active experts, and then focusing on the education. We still need to recently this was launched um, I think, yeah, so year and off or some time ago, but we still need to focus on improving this clean design area. Okay, so coming on to the Engineers Day. So we have on September 15th, on the Engineers Day, we have done like a full day rocking in terms of speakers, different speakers, different talks. And then we also done a coding dojo architecture event, and we did a quiz. So like that, we've been doing new events and bringing newness into the way we are doing things. And this is the hackathon that we have done, our last hackathon in this year. And then some pretty good ideas have come out in this current scenario. One of that is like, basically when we are actually doing interviews, sometimes there are people who are on the video are different, and some of the people who are answering to the questions are different, and how we can actually catch um, you know that kind of scenario, that kind of interviews. This was a very good POC that came, and we are also working on how to build this particular idea that came out. And this is the last hackathon which we did in last year. And then there was a plan to do one more hackathon. So this is how we continuously building and scaling, but we wanted to also deep dive on what is our architecture kata, what we do, and what is our clean as we code campaign, which we will take you through by Raghav and Funny.
Yep. Thank you, Hari. Greetings to everyone. My name is Raghavendra. I'm from Engineering Excellence team. You might have got a gist of what events we are doing in India. I'll briefly cover about what we do in architectural kata. So I'm not sure how many of you really are aware of kata. What is kata? Kata is a Japanese word. Basically, it is used in martial art. If you might have seen in movies and all, people will be actually practicing either alone or in groups. They'll be moving hands and legs here and there, right? So there are patterns basically, right? So of how to attack an enemy in the fight. So there are certain patterns to it of how to use what pattern at what time during the fight. So a similar kind of concept we have adopted in EngX for a reason, because even in our software engineering, we have a lot of architectural patterns, right? Coding patterns. Basically, architectural. What we are talking about, architectural kata. So people knows a lot of patterns, but then they might have worked some time back, year or two ago, and they come back. They're working now. When they really have to go and challenge a problem, they may not be able to recollect immediately that particular pattern, right? Sometimes it happens that we have to play with multiple patterns together to build a solution. So we thought that why don't we build this idea here within the EngX itself, so that the people come here, practice those patterns, and memorize, attain the perfection, so that when they get into the delivery, right, when there is a problem, they know how to handle it because they remember the patterns very well. And not just this, how do we do this? We do this little differently, right? So you can see this picture on the right side, right? So let's start here from the team on the top right corner, okay? So the teams will be coming to this particular event. This event, what happens is that we'll form the teams with a size of 4 to 8 people in a team, with maximum of say 4 to 10 teams, minimum 4 and maximum 10. So these guys are predominantly architects and engineers who are well versed with architectural patterns, designs, and all this stuff, right? So this particular event is not for the programmers. Programmers, we have a different thing called coding kata. This is for architects and engineers. So what happens is we'll be giving them a problem, right? We'll give them a problem, and then we'll ask them to go and brainstorm around that problem of how to build a solution around it, right? So there'll be design discussions happening, and then we'll have some couple of juries who are experts basically in terms of validating the solutions. So they create a pitch workshop for these guys, set a stage for them to come and talk about what they are doing, and they validate whether these guys are aligned to the the event that we are executing, and these guys are aligned to the problem statement that we are asking them to do. And then finally we leave them to their discussions back, and they go come up with kind of diagrammatic representation of how they are building a solution. That's what reflect and break, right? So, and finally, among these teams, we'll see the best solution that is built and the best articulation that could come out of their communication. We go and reward them with certain goodies and all this stuff. So how it happens is, there is a moderator who actually facilitates this session. So we bring in all the teams. We do this every monthly. This for the internal as well as for the external folks. We even invite external folks to come and join and then brainstorm. We also do this within our business units within the organization. So if somebody wants to do it, we allow them to do these events, and then we be there as an EngX team to go support them, facilitate whatever they need. So it is not just about one mind, it's about a couple of minds. They come together, they brainstorm, they exchange ideas, they learn patterns from each other, right? So these are actually educate people. It's not about just what they're learning in the trainings, but then we wanted them to come and practice in these events. So that's the whole essence of doing these kind of events. So I'll move to my next slide. Well, so this is what we usually expect from the participants. The actors identification, given a problem statement, who are the actors, what are the use cases, basic use cases. These are some of the views they can actually represent the solution: component view, deployment view, flow charts, or application architecture, data architecture, technology architecture, right? They also jot down some in scope, out scope, right? And MVP kind of stuff, and NFR, technology stack, solution presentation, and solution practicality, right? Relating to the real world problem, how it has to be tangible, right? Whatever you're actually trying to put it in a diagram, it has to be perceived, it has to be understood, right? So that is what we actually validate. The juries would validate that and then ask a couple of questions during the jury session. So moving on to the next slide, let me speak about one of the problem statements one of the teams have worked. This is patient monitoring system, right? So a new medical startup wants to develop a patient monitoring system, right? This is the business goal. Uh, to create an innovative patient vital signs monitoring system that measures ECG, heart rate, temperature, SpO2 levels, and blood pressure, right? So this is an example of what needs to be built for the vitals. Now we'll explain the problem like this. So this is what we want to build, right? Three categories of users will be there: patients, nurses, and doctors. Now each user, these patients, nurses, and doctors, needs to have their own monitor to see the data. Now, patient's monitor displays the vital signs of the patient. Nurse monitor shows all the patient's vital signs in a single view. Now, doctor monitor has a list of his patients or her patients with the ability to select any of them and see patient's vital signs. Now, system must alert when it detects abnormal measurements. Right? Any vital sign is going beyond threshold, it has to go and alert. Need to have an ability to do patient provisioning and device inventory. So we should be able to go attach those devices to the patient, and it should be able to go read the data, right? So this is the problem statement. How we explain or what happens is these teams, they get into breakout rooms, they brainstorm. If they have any questions, they'll come back and ask us, and then we'll clarify them. So moving on to the next slide, this is one of these solutions that is built by one of the teams, whom we recognize them as winners. So what these guys have done, looking at the requirements, okay, whenever there is a threshold, we need to actually alert. So why don't we just go create some event-driven architecture? So they have come up with an approach of event-driven architecture, capturing vitals and any vital going beyond threshold, cause an event to generate the alert. And these are they build, right? The sensors are attached to the patient. Now the sensors would actually capture those vitals and publish into a service. Service will capture that, and then there is a Kafka topic which where these vitals will be published to. And there are three different services. One is patient service, nurse service, and doctor service. So the data will be sending to these particular services, right? So hospital management service is one of the APIs built by onboarding for onboarding patient. Get all patients API to view all patients identified using a doctor. Get all patients vitals API to view all patients vitals under a nurse or a doctor. Search all vitals. Doctor or nurse can search vitals within a good period of time using the API. So there are different APIs that are built actually to capture these data, and then they store it in a database, right? And for the patient, doctors, and nurses, if they wanted to generate a report, they have also created one S3 bucket where this data is pushed there, and they can access that S3 database and read the reports. So this is a solution with some NFR like high availability, robust fault tolerant system, real-time data stream, and they're built around some security with OAuth and all this stuff. So this is how usually we conduct an event, and then we validate the solutions from various teams. Thanks, team, for hearing out this. You have any questions, you can drop into the box. We'll answer you later. So I'll hand out this to Fanny now.
Okay, so Fanny will tell us now about the clean as you code campaign, sorry. But before that, we would like to see your point of view on the topic of the clean code. So we would like to ask you again some questions. Okay, please go back to the Mentimeter and let us know what do you think, why it is important to practice clean code. I think people should have some ideas. Yes. I think yes. Maintainability, less technical debt. Yes. Maintainability. To make maintainable code. Keeps things simple. Quality and reliability. Yes. To understand the code. Durability and maintenance. Less errors. Yes. Improve team communication. Good one. Maintainability is the one which is the most often. Okay, let's wait a second because I'm interested in all the answers. Okay, thank you everyone for voted. So now we have another question to you. So what do you think? What to do when bad code is found? Please choose which option of these presented ones you would follow. Later, Fanny will share with us all the actions we can take when we need to deal with the bad code, and he will show us also some examples. Okay, for now we have 2 people who are courageous to clean the code and 1 person who would reach to the manager. Let's see. Okay. There is no one who would ignore it, and I think that's great, we can say. Almost either we will report to the manager or clean the codes. Okay, thank you very much. And we have one more question to you. So what happens if the code is bad? What do you think can happen? What can be the consequences of the bad code? I guess many of you can talk here by experience, right? Reward. Cute cat dies. Oh, no, definitely we don't want this. Headaches. Oh, I like this answer. Yes, that's definitely unsatisfied client. Yeah, and this is really important one. Higher maintenance costs, definitely. More bugs. Yes, chaos. Exactly. Lose sleep. Oh yeah, that's true. Panic. Okay, I hope we will never reach this case when we really need to panic. But yeah, I totally understand that. Bugs, bugs, bugs. Exactly. Domino. Yeah, that's also unpredictable behavior. Exactly. That's a very good answer. More bugs. Not unit tests. Oh yeah, I know some projects when the unit tests are not even present. Rework. Waste of time. Exactly. Our life become miserable. Oh. Hard to onboard a new member. Yeah, that's true also. Eventually will fall. Yeah, unfortunately. Lack of quality. Exactly. Slow releases. Okay, I see very good question, very good answers here. So thank you all for your answers. And now let's listen to Fanny, who will share us how to keep our code clean and how to deal with the bad code.
Yep. Uh, Yep. Thank you, Martha. Yes, my name is Pani, and I'm working as a solution architect in EPAM. I work with Raghav and Hari in this EngX India team. So this is one of the campaign we started mid-year or early this year, and we have already done quite a few campaigns around this. So let's see why clean as you code and what are the benefits, and how you can overcome this bug issue or spaghetti code, all these kind of issues, how you can tackle with these guys. Um and yes, as many of you have answered correctly in the previous three questions, right? Like most of the answers are really very interesting. Uh, okay, so in Agile, the development, the practice of cleaning as a code as we develop is important because as we work in shorter iterations and continuously releasing with smaller chunks of functionality for the faster feedback. So it is important to embrace change and build an evolutionary architecture that constantly improve. So here we all were working on agile scrum projects, right, where we take a sprint, to take a user story, implement it, and give it to the delivery, and then the business users sees the product, the delivery, and gives his feedback, and again either way going to fix the code or do the enhancements on it, and yet the cycle goes on, and this is not the end of the life, right? This application stays in for say next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and many other people will be working on this code. So what like if you are not courageous enough to clean and refactor the code, then the code becomes very brittle and complex. So this is exactly the case where we want to avoid. We don't want to be in this position. So So clean as you code is right is an approach to code quality that eliminates a lot of challenges that come with traditional approaches. As developers, we focus on maintaining high standards and taking responsibility specifically in the code what we are working on. But with which clean as you code, your focus is always on code and making sure the code you write today is clean. So that's the uh, main idea, or the intention should be when we are working on the code or the enhancements or the bugs or if the user story what you're working on, right? So that should be the motivation, that should be the way of life. uh, so now coming to the couple of famous quotes from Robert and Martin, right? So this is a very famous one, which says that even bad code can function, but if code isn't clean, it can bring a development organization to its knees. Every year, countless hours and significant resources are lost because of poorly written code, but it doesn't have to be that way. Okay, and the other, this is the Martin Flowers quotation is a really very important, and it's very applicable for us in our day-to-day life. Anybody can write code that a computer can understand. Good programmers write code that humans can understand. So this is where we want to put more effort and see what can be done in this regard. So this a good, so the question comes again, when is the good time to clean the code, right? So there's no a good time. It's every opportunity you need to act on. So when you're writing code for the first time, make sure that you're writing good code. And if you're working on enhancement, please uh, do the clean code. Bug fixes is one opportunity, and when you see lots of duplicate code, please fix that. Okay, and what what are the benefits when you write a clean as you code? It increases efficiency and performance. Enhancements will be easy. Technical debt will be reduced. Improves understanding of the code written by other developers, and leaving the code in the better state than before. So these are the most benefits what you get when you do the clean as you code. And obviously you will be knowing what are the drawbacks, like it increase the what increase the cost and other things. And how do we do this, right? It is like a kata, a discipline where you need to attain perfection as we go by. Like it's not that it's not a one-time activity or one-time learning. Every day you have to learn, you have to implement the learnings in your code, and then move forward. And refactoring needs courage, but it needs to be done. It's a mindset, so we need to develop that mindset and uh, use that mindset in your day-to-day programming. So here is a simple problem what we want to showcase here. So we are having a application where the code uh, mm, is bad, really bad. So what is happening with the code is enhancing the class with more features is becoming difficult, and same class is being modified for multiple cases. So it's not the main class to execute the logic. Okay, the program is growing day by day and growing into a very big file. This is this is where like most of us who are working on the legacy applications or the older code, right, or code written by not so mature developers will end up like this. And when we are not taking care of code, right, or cleaning the code when we do the implementation, we'll end up like this, and we do not want to happen here. So this is the existing code where you see, right, there are different types of taxes, and these are all implemented in one file, one class. So all they're separated by a if clause, and say here you see, right, there's a federal tax and there's a lot of logic, and there's state tax, there's a lot of logic, and if something changes in future, right, you're going to modify the same file, whether it's a federal tax changes or the state tax changes, and if any new tax comes in, again you're going to modify the same file. So this is a kind of example of a bad code, right? So how this code was cleaned up? Uh, so it's a simple thing, like people, the developers have worked, discussed and understood the problem, and then they came up with a design, and they came up with the test cases around that, and then they uh, brainstormed and came up come up with a design saying that, okay, let's have a interface which all the types of taxes will be using. And they have come up with the interface, and then they have started implementing the specific logic for each of the type of the tags into uh, the exclusive class, the specialized class. So here you see, right, we have a state tax, we have a federal tax, and all the implementation, the logic for that one will be going into their respective classes. Tomorrow again, some other class, some other tax comes in. It'll be very easy to add a new class for and in write the logic for that particular specific type of tax. And if any rules are modified in this particular taxes, you need to modify only the that tax logic only. Let's say state tax has to be modified, you only touch the state tax, and by doing so the impact on the other files is, I mean, literally zero. And the testing also will be become so easy because you'll be concentrating only at that point for that tax only. So here you see, right, uh, when you do this kind of implementation, right, where uh, everything is modularized and it's loosely coupled, so you can use that as and when required. Like when you want to use state tax, you want to use only that. If you want to use federal tax, you're going to use only that. And if there's any new tax coming in, you're going to include that or inject that into your logic. It'll be as simple as that. Okay, so and what are the benefits out of all this exercise? Now you have seen that the big file has been divided into multiple files. So basically, the understanding of the logic will become very easy, and the uh, impacted area will be very less. So your point of change will be coming very less. The enhancements can be done more easily. As I said, that if there's no new text coming in or any code rules has to be, text rules has to be modified, you're going to modify, touch only those files, those logic only. And ease of reusability. So today you're using statex in one place, but if the same logic has to be applied in some other place, it will be very easy to reuse the same taxation rules and the and this class, this logic. And then testing will be easy because you're only you need to test only the cases which have been modified. Let's say a state tax has been modified, you're going to test the cases related to the state tax, and you're going to add or remove the cases which are related to the rules that has been changed in the state tax. So your testing test case enhancements or a modification, right, will be linked to that, and you're going to focus your testing only to that part. So that is um, our effort on to test the other parts. Yeah, and these are the few coding principles which you would have already known or listened on these things like solid case, dry, wet. These are a few coding principles that will be very easy and make your life easy in your day-to-day implementation. It's a very good start to write clean as a code and gain knowledge. Yeah, Martha, back to you. Thank you.
Thank you
Okay,
very much, Fanny.
so thank you, Funny and Raghav, for nice, talk about how we are actually implementing the architectural kata and what's our clean energy code campaign, and how we are making sure that our team who are joining newly into the organization get into this kind of culture. Thank you very much. So, um, how again, doing all these events, right, in such a scale, we still need to improve our scale, definitely, but we need to have a roadmap, right, in terms of how we continue to scale, right. That is not possible, right, without a good team in the background, right. So how, who are making this happen? So as part of this, right, so we have Raghav. This is basically a dedicated India EngX core team. They are dedicated only to EngX in driving. There's a GDO investment and in driving the EngX culture. Right, Raghav, the EngX program manager. Funny is the solution architect, and we have Shravya, overall program coordinator, and then we have agile coach who also get into various projects, and then as part of do consulting if that particular on a short term basis, if that particular account or project needs some initial consulting and or some challenges, go look at it, work with the team and then come back. So that's how this we and in addition to that, we drive all these events, and there is also a weekly status summary report and quarterly planning, and as I have shown, like one OKR, there are a couple of other OKRs also there, what we do as part of our building index culture. So all these events that we just talked about, and it is just not possible again this with these four people, right. Definitely there are a lot of contributors who are the real hands-on team members who actually work on various projects, right, and various practices, right. So we also have Pandu, who used to drive Injux culture in India, until last year, and now he's part of overall, global initiatives. And then I drive, I work closely with this team, and then in terms of creating focus on how we scale. Uh, while I actually already part of delivery into some of the major accounts, and we have this core team, and we have top sensei's And these are all our top contributors, right? So we have our top assessments experts, and then in addition to that, as I said, every BU has some EngX champions, and in their BU they actually drive this culture in terms of deep diving in each project every week, and then driving the conducting the EngX assessments, and building that culture right within every business unit. So without all these people, right, and there are more, but these are the top contributors. All this is not possible. Kudos to all the contributors, and thank you. So we can get into questions, Martha.
Yes, now we have some time dedicated to questions, and I see already some questions. So let me first start with the first one. Do you post all of your events on community platform with registration, or it is just accessible for people in India?
So I think Raghav can take up this question, as you are closely working on driving the EngX events.
Yeah, we post this in the community portal, and we open this for India folks alone because we do this for India so far. When we do a global one, then we open it for global as well. But we use the community portal. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Another question. Hello, by your experience, do you think this NGX approach can apply to DevOps infrastructure delivery?
That's a great question. So we can apply, but there are some challenges in terms of we have explored some projects where we use Terraform, scripting, and it's an IAC code infrastructure as code, right? So especially I'm talking in a bigger overall cloud perspective. So this is one of our initiative in pipeline. So one events, people as part of our associates who are part of the cloud and DevOps, they can participate and there are relevant events there. But applying for project assessments, we are working, we have initiated, we are working on building and exploring what tools can be used. Unit testing still it's a challenge, and recently we have actually looked into some of the BDD right patterns where we can actually test, build the BDD while we actually create scripts. We need to integrate it. It's in progress. It's a good question.
Okay, we have another one. What can we do if there are multiple options, but the logic is maybe just 2 lines of code?
Pune, I think, is part of clean as we code.
Yeah, again, need to the process is like straightforward, right? You're going to identify the problem, like what can be done, and then how you're going to solve the problem, how you're going to come up with the design, and see that the behavior, external behavior is not disturbed, and go ahead with refactoring the code. When I mean, from the question, I understand like there are multiple things happening on that file, right? So you can break up into specialized functions, methods, and then call them as required. Or if it is totally a big logic, please move that into a specialized classes and use them as and when required. So that's one way of doing it. But yes, the important point is you need to identify the problem and see where what's the issue. Then you need to design and what is your goal state, and you need to keep on testing, uh, and then go for the release. So that's how you need to do. You need to acknowledge the problem. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, I hope we have time for one more question, because Ankit asked, do we have any roadmap for automating the NGX assessments? Maybe a few patterns with ML.
So Yeah, so, interesting question. But based on my experience, I'm also one of my EngX journey started, as becoming an EngX expert. So I'm a See, the projects are of various nature, various dynamics, right? Different clients has different challenges, right? So with one client, client practices are different. We are into service organization where we have, we'll be working with, of course, we are building products, for our clients where we call product development services. Um, but again, every client use different tools, every client has different processes, every based on the project nature, project situation, the process are different. So that's where this an expert is actually really required, who first understand the process. It's not like a very generic, though it is not like a 2 3 types of projects where we actually create a workflow and then it just can show what are the recommendations and what are the gaps. But it also need to require to gather the project challenges, right? We also do happiness index survey of various team members to know as part of our index assessments, where we get some inputs in terms of any business analysis issues or collaboration issues. And so there are a lot of effort involved in terms of understanding and doing based on the knowledge that we gather as part of assessments. So it's a great idea, but it's not easy to
Thank
automate.
you. Thank you very much, Harry. Unfortunately, we don't have time for more questions, but please leave your question in the chat. Our speakers will get back to you with the answers. You will be able to find them on the talk page, on the community page. And firstly, I would like to thank Hari, Raghavendra, and Fani for the insightful presentations. Thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your knowledge and experience. I'm sure there is a lot of takeaways for all the listeners. Thank you everyone for joining. Stay with us. The topic of the next talk is, what do you wish you had known when you started as a developer? Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Martha.